Simulation games are famous for being complex, detailed, and diverse, and farming sims are no exception to this rule. But even so, all farming sims share a common gameplay loop that you can find peppered all over their design. The loop works like this. You start with a resource, you then spend time developing that resource, and then it produces something worth more than everything you put in. For example, you plant a seed, you water the seed, and then you harvest a turnip. This usually also gives you more seeds to keep the loop running. Alternatively, you buy a cow, you feed the cow, and then you milk the cow many times. These loops are self-amplifying because you earn a profit on each cycle and can therefore scale up your farm for the next run. And this sense of progress is what sustains the game over a long play session. Titles like Harvest Moon and Stardew Valley feature an impressive variety of these loops to help keep their gameplay interesting. But Slime Rancher goes in the opposite direction, focusing you on a single task, ranching slimes. And this laser-sharp focus on one core gameplay loop has let them refine that loop to be maximally satisfying. Okay, let's back up for a second and give some Slime Ranching 101. Your character is equipped with a vacuum gun that they can use to suck up slimes and fire them into a corral. Once you've gathered up a gaggle of slimes, you can feed them to make them drop plort, and these plorts can then be sold for money. So here's our basic resource loop. Slimes plus food creates plort, which in turn give us the cash we need to progress through the game. It's a simple idea, but by itself this wouldn't be interesting for long, and that's why the developers have added a variety of wrinkles into the loop. Let's start with the slimes. Each variety of slime creates a different kind of plort, and rarer plort fetches higher prices on the plort market. These prices even fluctuate depending on your supply, encouraging players to stockpile their plorts until conditions are just right. Each slime species also has a different diet. There are 3 food categories: fruit, veggies, and meat, and any given slime will only eat 2 of these, except for the greedy pink slimes, which will eat practically anything. On top of these, each slime also has a favourite food item. For example, the rock slimes particularly like heartbeats, and if you provide this food, they'll drop double the number of plorts. This encourages you to set up a variety of gardens and chicken coops in your ranch, so that you can efficiently feed each corral with their favourite foods. And speaking of efficiency, you can also fuse 2 of your slime varieties together to create a hybrid slime that drops both types of plort. You do this by feeding a slime the plorts of a different species, which is kind of gross if you think about it, so let's not think about it. This also connects back to diet, since hybrid slimes gain the diet of both of their source slimes. This means that providing the favourite food of either one of the source slimes gets you 4 plorts, 2 of each type. And this encourages you to fuse easily managed slimes with the more unusual varieties. At this point, you might wonder, what happens if I fuse 3 different species together? Will I get 3 plorts in one? No, you don't. Instead, that slime will become a tar slime, which eats your other slimes. Yikes. This mechanic is actually very sensible. There are 14 main slime species, which makes 91 different 2-slime hybrids, and allowing 3 slime hybrids would push that number to over 400 different slimes, which would pretty much be an impossible workload for an indie team. So by turning 3 slime hybrids into tar slimes, they collapse all of that complexity back into something manageable. It also adds an element of danger to your ranch. If even one foreign plort makes it into your hybrid slime corral, it could set off a chain reaction that kills off all of your favourite slimes. This encourages the player to keep their base tidy, and not leave slimes, plort, or food just lying around on the floor. In most farming games, keeping your farm clean is just for aesthetics, so I really like how Slime Rancher has connected it directly into the mechanics. Okay, we just covered a lot of ground, so let's take a few steps back. You might have noticed a theme emerging. This game is all about ranching slimes, but another mechanic is arguably even more central than the slimes are, and it's plort. Plort is a waste product, a source of money, a fusion material, and even a source of danger, all at the same time. In principle, all of these mechanics could have been separate. The slimes could have dropped some other kind of waste product, or you could have brought slime fusion serum from a shop terminal, or some of the slimes could become unhappy sometimes and attack their neighbours. But adding all of these different mechanics would have been much more work for the developers, and perhaps more importantly, it would have been much less elegant. In the context of design, elegance is when a single component performs several different functions. This lets you gain a lot of functionality out of a comparatively simple system. By having a single resource that acts as a currency, an upgrade, a hazard, and a byproduct, Slime Rancher has created an interlocking web of mechanics around a single set of assets. And Plort isn't the only place you'll find elegance in this game. Consider your vac pack, which lets you capture slimes, gather food, transport plort, and also fight off the tar. It's a manipulator, a weapon, and an inventory all in one, and this means that the game only requires a tiny set of button inputs. You can suck into your vac pack, shoot out of your vac pack, jump, and sprint. And to be pedantic, you can also walk, look, and interact with menus, but even with these included, that's still a small set of inputs. Slime Rancher was made by a small team, so it makes sense that they would want to simplify development as much as possible. But I think it's important to note that this mechanical elegance isn't simply a coping mechanism for small teams. It cuts back on clutter, making the rules easier to memorize. It can also create new choices, like, do I sell my plort to fuse slimes with it, or spend it on science? Elegance can bring a lot of benefits to a game. So, what can we learn? You know, I had never really considered before that somebody might make a slime ranching game, or that I would want to play it. But that's all part of the charm of Slime Rancher. Rather than just following in the footsteps of the older, more entrenched farming sims, Slime Rancher set out to do just one unique thing and do it as well as possible. And this uniqueness has given them breathing space to try out fresh ideas and craft something that stands out from the crowd. So, my biggest game design takeaways from my time playing Slime Rancher are: number 1. Overlap your mechanics by giving each element multiple uses. If your game contains a lot of elements that only do one thing, consider whether you could merge some of them to create a smaller set of more interesting content. Number 2. Don't be afraid to de-scope. Everybody likes big, detailed, expansive games. But this doesn't mean that small games have no place. Even a tiny game, if it's created with charm and elegance, can leave a lasting impression on players and find a lot of success. As always, there's a whole lot more I could say about Slime Rancher, but this video is going to have to leave things here. If you think I've missed something interesting, tell me about it in the comment section. And if you want to see more game design videos in the future, don't forget to sub. Progress on Patch Quest, my monster riding, island exploring roguelike game, is going well, and I'll be posting another update video soon. If you want to learn more, you can click through to the video devlog now. That's all for now, thanks for watching.